start with. But okay, I'll first I would want to make a point here that I definitely want to derive from the answer that you gave is focus by itself is not a standalone characteristic. It needs discipline, it needs hard work, it needs constant reaffirmation internally to keep at it to harness its power. It can't be one off because this one off genius things will happen. Obviously, because you are in the field, something or the other will happen. But if you want to be consistently trusted for being a certain way, uh, it is required, is what comes to me from your answer. Uh,
Absolutely.
One of the questions that came to me, which was very small, but I want to delve in to understanding, was the fact that you said it has to be internal. It has to be internal. You went on, re-emphasizing that. My question to you is, how does it make a difference? Suppose I have heard a discourse and I am really inspired. I am telling you it is internal. So uh, where does the change come? Suppose I heard any of these great guys talk on YouTube and I am really inspired. Day one, day two, day three, I have done it. But sometimes I drop off, sometimes I pick it up, sometimes I'm unable to. What is different between your way of approaching it and my approach where I'm also inspired. I'm telling you I love it. I have actually taken a print and I have those things in my room also. Uh, there were Muhammad Ali quotes for a while. I remember there was one quote which said, I only start counting after it starts paining because those are the only efforts that count, something on those lines.
Hmm.
Now,
Hmm.
that was very inspiring to me on bad days, on good days. But when I looked at
Hmm.
my life, there were days when I was lazy and I would go off to sleep. But I'm
Sure, sure.
inspired by it.
Everyone.
I like it. So I want to ask you
Absolutely.
why this emphasis on internal this and what do you think is the difference? Where does the gap happen which
See,
starts to affect the focus?
the main thing is that if your inspiration is only coming from what you see on YouTube or Instagram, or you read a text, you read some kind of an extremely inspiring book, and you have quotations across in your room, and you look at it and you feel happy. uh, all that is great. I mean, those things are great, and I'm very thankful that we have access to those things
Of course.
now, with the internet being the way it is. It's great when you see something like that. It makes you feel happy. uh, but true change, in my opinion, only comes when you don't need those words. Because fair enough, those words may have triggered you onto believing certain things, that you went for a satsang, or you went for a holy talk, or you read a great book, and you had a spark that got lit within you. That's great, but unless you nurture that spark that's lit within you, after a point, in my experience, what I feel is that reading those texts, reading those things on YouTube and Instagram and other things, it becomes more of an entertainment rather than a learning. Okay, because what has happened is that, like, you've become addicted to reading these quotes and these texts and these great things, because they give you joy and they make you feel happy. But true change can only come when you apply those teachings. And application of those teachings needs discipline. It needs you to be alert at all times, as much as you can be. It needs you to be able to see yourself dispassionately, and know when you're doing something which is knee jerk. A lot of times, a lot of us do things, and then the next day we look back and we say, "Oh my God, I don't know what I was thinking. Why did I do something like that?" I've done stupid things like that, really crazy things. Like, why would you do something like that? And when we hear stories about उसने ₹5 नहीं दिया उसको तो उसने उसको मार डाला, like somebody kills somebody else for ₹5 or ₹10 or some such thing in a fit of rage. Those are knee-jerk reactions, at which time you are not in control of yourself. This is the antithesis of that. basically you need to be able to watch yourself and to say, dude, this, are you sure you want to react like this? This is a split second thing. An outsider will not be able to perceive that this is going on in your head. But, that is something that you cultivate over time. And that is what brings the real rewards to you. You might have a great, quotation from Rumi or someone on your, framed in your room. And you look at it every morning, and that could become the driving idea of your life. It could. It very well could. Or Muhammad Ali, like, float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. That could become your, like, this is what I want to be in life. That is great. It's great that you have an idea that you want to be that. But the journey from being inspired and happy and actually being, embodying that idea in your life, that is an internal journey. That needs practice and focus, and that whole sadhana that you keep hearing about, people talk about. That's basically what it is. If you want to become a great singer, you have to do riyaz every single day. There is no escaping it. There is no escaping it. That's just the way it is. And that riyaz and practice is an internal thing. I mean, you look at the book and you'll say, oh, wow, this is great. I mean, you like a million quotations, right? You can read a million quotes and say, yeah, man, this is great, this is great, this is great. But then that becomes a distraction after some time. Unless you embody it, unless you actually try to, implement it in your life, it becomes just words. Yeah. Day one, it's not just words. Day one, it's like the sun is shining on you and, God has blessed you personally. Hey, beta, तेरे को ये ज्ञान दिया, अभी तू खुश हो जा. 2 दिन chalega, 3 दिन, you might go through it for a few days, but after that, there is no, like, the world will fall on your head. World will crumble around you. There will be bad situations. People will be angry with you. You will not be able to do things which you think should be, getting done. That is when you actually have to, remember, oh, float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. How would Muhammad Ali do it at this point in time? How would he approach this situation? And then you have to figure out what that means. Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. But that does not come, unless you've been practicing it every single day, it will not come when it's required. Because your body, your system, your brain, you're just not wired to do it. You might see somebody skiing down the Alps and say, main kal jaake karunga because I have I have 10 lakhs, I can go and do it. You go there and you try to do it, you'll die. Because you don't know how to handle skis.
Yeah.
Fall down and you bang into a tree and you'll die because you've never done it in your life.
Yeah.
So if you really want to live those lines, then you have to practice those lines mentally, spiritually, the whole thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot of hard work, but it's great fun.
Yeah, I like the discrimination you made between these absolutely 2 different ways of seeing things. One is being inspired by words. It stops there. It's just inspiration. It's not living through. But the living through, when you start embodying, I like that word as well that you use, because unless you make it yours.
Yes.
And once you make it yours and you start living it, then it is no longer Muhammad Ali's or anybody else's. Then it is your truth and you know what it really is. And then I guess the journey will happen, and what you mentioned as knee-jerk reactions will be controlled a lot more better. So are we saying that focus is really, one is, it is an inner drive that allows you to start working on it or being inspired. So the first question itself would have been, I think I'm scattered, or maybe I'm not doing something right. I need to relook. So, so while you were thinking that your vision is perfect, now you realize it may be blinkered. So that's where the journey starts. And then if I were to kind of go back at some of the answers you gave, you pick up the pieces, you start looking at yourself objectively, see what works, drop what doesn't, then again relook at yourself, be aware at all times of when you are trying to squeeze in a bad habit. Again, bad habit need not be bad or good, just that what does not work towards your focus.
Absolutely.
And from there on, then you, once you know, okay, this is the path, now I'm clear, these things work for me, these don't, then stick to it, then put in discipline, put in work every day, then the focus might start flowering. Now, one last question I would
Absolutely.
want to ask you, uh, with all this focus, what really is the happiness that one gains from it? Why work so hard? What is wrong with living a scattered life? Or because we had fun while that was also happening. We cannot deny that burning yourself
Oh
out
yeah, we
had its
had
own kind of pleasure that in those days. So if somebody, I'm specifically looking at it from a 25 to 30 age group point of view where they've started making money, they're doing reasonably well and they love partying, they are burning the midnight oil, working hard, partying hard. If somebody like that is looking at this episode and then wondering these guys are talking like fuddy duddies, they maybe they don't know what it is, which I do agree. Some part of it is age. But day before, I think somebody else told me a very interesting thing. He said it is about practice as much as it is about age. It's not, this kind of wisdom does not come. There are a lot of people who would still um, live a life which is more scattered. So how would you? What is the benefit once I am this focused? What changes in your life? So today, when you live this, besides not having anxiety and stress, what you mentioned earlier in the episode, I want to know what are the pluses. What you don't have, I'm now clear. What do you get out of it? What is the sense of fulfillment or joy or happiness that you're talking about?
uh, see if you want to be great, okay, I'm not saying everyone can be great. I'm not saying that. Some of us can be great, some of us can be almost great, let's put it that way. But if you want to do something great, and if you want to leave behind some kind of legacy and all that stuff, if that sort of thing really interests you, you will not be able to do it unless you focus. It's not going to happen if you are scattered in your head. You know, even though you might go to work every day at 9 o'clock, stay at work till 8 o'clock, and then network with everyone. All of that is fine. It's great, but when you focus on a particular thing, whatever that idea is, your defining idea, however you embody that idea, uh, when you focus on that particular thing and all your energies are like, focused towards achieving that particular thing, you know, the world around seems to arrange itself so that things get done for you, but that's not because the world is arranging itself magically. It's basically because you are able to see places, gaps, places where you can go, which you weren't able to see earlier because your head was
All over the
approaching
place.
200 million different things all the time. Now that you have one singular thing that, I want to achieve this particular thing. And that's all. Your entire thing is taken up by that. So, after a point, it becomes like your subconscious is constantly looking for opportunities to help you go along that path. It is helping you, look for people who will help you to go along that path. You know, so focus basically helps you to achieve something that you might find at this point in time to be, like a really big achievement, and you don't know how it's going to happen. You focus it and you keep taking one step ahead every single day with that thing in your head, and you're able to keep that focus on all the time. My firm belief is that you'll make it if you can hold that focus.
Okay.
That's what I believe.
So if I were to understand correctly the definition that you gave us at the start of this talk, where you said that you want to be a good professional, you want to be a good son, good husband, good this. So while you are undergoing those moments, you try and focus on those moments and try and live those moments as best as you can. Obviously,
Yes.
uh, with the social media and our phones being good obstacles. And
Yeah, perfect.
within those limitations, you try and live the life that you've chosen for those few moments. And that is the happiness
Yes.
that you gain out of it. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, if you're able to focus, if you're playing with your son, if you're playing with your kids, and you're focusing on something that is happening at work on your phone, it's not giving anyone any joy. You're not getting any joy out of it. Neither are your children, because they know, they're very smart. They know what is going on. You're there physically, but you're not there mentally or spiritually. They know it.
Yeah, yeah,
So when you're like, when you're hanging out with your children and playing with your children, try to focus on them. When you're at work, only focus on your work. But what I said earlier in your second last question, what is the benefit? Like, you have a long-term goal. Like, you have one mega goal that you want to achieve in your life, and you keep that in your focus, and it's not a hard work focus. So when you're playing with your children, you're still playing with your children. Your entire focus is on the children. But then you have been thinking about this thing for so long that your subconscious is doing its thing in the background. And while playing with your children, suddenly, if like your children go and meet another kid, and that kid's father turns out to be working in some company which is going to help you get that goal. If you're too busy looking at your phone and your children and this and that, you may not catch that opportunity.
yeah.
That is what I'm trying to say. Keep the mega goal at the back of your mind, but focus on the moment.
Okay.
That's
I
what I mean.
like this thought to end with also, because while we started, I had no clue where we were going to go with this idea of focus. Just except the first few thoughts that I had on the subject. Now I am realizing that with focus comes the added advantage of being aware in the moment as much as possible,
Absolutely.
being able to live it fully rather than live it in imagination. So because your entire mind is in your control at that point of time, you get a chance
Yes.
to use a term that Americans would use, milk it for whatever it is worth.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's been a good chat. Uh, I've enjoyed it thoroughly. I need to
Oh yeah, same here.
think on this a bit more. I like a lot of random thoughts that you threw up, how to incorporate them in my life for sure. So wonderful chatting up with you. I'll catch up with you soon.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank
Yeah.
you so much.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.